Hi, my name's Celyn and welcome back to my channel. So if you couldn't tell by the title of the video, in today's video I'm going to be showing you guys how to make your very own cute little Minecraft panda figurine. This painting today isn't super easy, but it's relatively simple in terms of Minecraft creations. We're going to try and keep it super simple today by just using black and white and a little bit of grey. It's relatively simple for a Minecraft DIY, but still a little bit difficult in terms of like the grid work. But this is what we're aiming to try and create today, which is so cute. I love it so much. If you guys want, you can totally DIY the little boxy bits yourself. You can either do this using cardboard or you can 3D print them yourself. But if you don't have a 3D printer or you're not wanting to craft the body yourself, you can actually buy the kit to create your own from my Etsy. So I'll link that right at the top of the description down below. So yeah, we just 3D print them and then I'll package them up and then I'll send them your way and then you can paint your own. But I'm so excited to show you guys how to create this little guy. So let's get started.
Okay, so let's start with all the things you're gonna need. So the first thing you're gonna need are some panda parts. As you can see, I've 3D printed these, and as I mentioned, you can get these from my Etsy, but you can also DIY your own. So you're gonna need a body, you're gonna need 4 little panda legs, you're also gonna need a head, a little nose, and 2 ears. As well as your panda, you're also gonna need some paintbrushes. I've selected 3 different sizes for myself. I'm gonna be using a large, a medium, and a small little tiny one, and if you are only gonna use one, I would recommend the tiny one. You're also gonna need some sort of glue. As you can see, I'm using this blue Gorilla Super Glue. My favorite's actually the green gel one, but I've run out, so I'm gonna be using the blue one today, but you can use any glue you like, but remember that super glue is a bit scary. You're also gonna need some acrylic paint. You're gonna want a black and a white because we're gonna mix a grey as well, but I'm using the De La Rowney System 3 acrylic paints, which are my favorite, but you can use any you like. And finally, the last thing you need is just a pencil and a ruler. I also recommend having a little rubber handy. I've got a rubber on the end of my mechanical pencil, but let's just begin. Okay, so you're gonna want to start by grabbing all of your little panda pieces, and the first part is gonna be doing grids on all of the pieces that need grids, if that makes sense. So you're gonna want to grab a pencil and a ruler and we're going to start working on our grids. We're going to be applying a grid to the body of the panda. We also need a grid on the panda's head, but we're not going to do all of the sides, and we also need a grid on the little panda's nose, but the other pieces, so the legs and the ears, we can just put those to one side because we're just going to be painting these black later. Okay, so let's get started. We're just going to start by doing a grid on the body of the panda. So this is the top of the body and we need 26 pixels along the top and 20 down the side. Each individual pixel is 1/4 of a centimeter, so it's 0.25 centimeters, which is really small, but as you can see, I'm using my pencil here and my ruler to add those in. I hope it's nice and clear and easy to understand. So as you can see, I'm just adding these little markings all the way along the one side, and eventually once it's done, it should look a little bit like this. It's really time consuming, but worth it, I promise. So once you're happy with your little lines, you're gonna wanna go ahead and rotate your panda's body, and we're basically gonna repeat the same steps, but along the shorter side. As I mentioned, this is quite time consuming, but don't worry if they're not quite the right size. It doesn't really matter because we're keeping it quite simple and all of our pixels are pretty much just going to be black. Once you've done those little lines down each side, they should look a little bit like this, and now we're basically just going to like join those lines to the opposite side to make a grid. So I'm just using my pencil and my ruler once again, and I'm just pulling them down from one side to the opposite side. I hope this is clear and makes sense and I'm demonstrating it a-okay. This part is super time consuming and it's really hard to get straight lines. But as I mentioned, since we're keeping it simple, if your lines aren't completely straight, it really doesn't matter too much. It's okay and it's just for fun. Eventually, once you're done pulling those lines down from one side, you should end up having like this stripy canvas, and then we're going to rotate it one more time and take the lines on the shorter side and pull them down and we'll have a grid. But you can absolutely take your time over this. I often mess up and like have to completely start again, but I've kind of got the hang of it now because I do it so regularly. But once you're done adding those lines, you should eventually have a grid which should look a little bit like this, and now you're just going to need to do some more grids, which isn't overly fun, but it'll be okay. So we're going to need to add a grid to this side, and we're also going to add a grid to this side. I'll add the dimensions for these bits on the screen here. I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera, and then I'll catch up with you guys in a little minute. Ta-da! So here are my grids. Yours should end up looking a little bit like this now. As you can see, I have a grid on each side, but I'm leaving the belly blank, the top and the bottom. You don't need to do that because we're keeping it super simple. Now that we finished the grids on the body of the panda, we actually need to add grids to the panda's face and the panda's nose. This shouldn't take too long because they're much smaller. So once again, I'm going to add the dimensions for the grid for the panda's nose here. You're just doing the one side. And here are the dimensions for the panda's face. This side you're going to leave blank, but that side you're also going to add a grid. The sides to the left and the right, you're also going to add a grid. I hope I'm making this nice and clear. clear. It's really hard to explain, but this is basically the top of the head, and then that's the front of the head that I'm turning to right now. But I went ahead and added those grids off camera, and here they are complete. Yay! So at this point, we're pretty much gonna grab our acrylic paints and we can start painting. I hope you guys were able to follow along okay. So anyway, I grabbed my black acrylic paint and I basically added these little dots so you guys can see which pixels we're gonna be painting black. So pause now if you want to see the front of the panda's face. And here is the panda's left side, but this is our left, and then here is the right side of the panda's face. So yeah, you can pause to see which pixels you need to paint. All I did then was grab my little tiny paintbrush, and I could pretty much just start painting all of those little tiny dots, and I'm just painting them in these strips and just painting them one by one, however I like. If you go outside of the pixels, it's really no big deal. All you need to do is grab some white acrylic paint to clean up those edges, but I just do that a little bit later. So I just carry on for now. If I make a mistake, I don't worry about it. But this part is time consuming, but it has to be my favorite part. I just enjoy it so much. I think it's so fun. But as you can see, I'm just taking my time filling in those pixels one by one, and then once I've done that side, I move on to the other side. Once you've completed the panda's front face, you can move on to the right hand side or the left hand side, whichever you like. But if you've got those dots in place, it'll really help you. Once you're done painting, it should look a little bit like this, and now you're going to want to mix up a grey, so you can just add white to your black paint, and we're going to be painting these 2 pixels grey. If you can't tell, these are the panda's eyes, and these are actually the last thing we need to paint on the face, so I went ahead and painted those one after the other, and eventually the face was complete. Yay! So now we've completed the face, we can move on to another body part. We're actually going to move on to paint the panda's little nose. So you're going to want to grab the nose, and as you can see, I've gone ahead and added those little black dots for the pixels that need to be painted black. Once again, this part's super simple. It's only 7 little pixels, so it shouldn't take too long, and eventually once you're done doing that, you're going to want to grab that same grey paint we used for the panda's eyes, and we're going to paint the little mouth. The mouth is only made up of 5 pixels, so I've gone ahead and done the little dots here on camera for you guys to see. You can pause once again if you need to reference, but you can grab your grey paint and just fill those in once you're done. It's pretty simple, shouldn't take too long, and eventually your nose will be complete. So this is what the face and the nose should look like, and once you've done that, we're going to move on to the body. So this is the biggest part of the painting, but we're basically just using black paint for the whole thing, so that's really easy. Yay! So once again, I'm going to go ahead and add those dots for you guys so that you have a reference, but you can go ahead and add them too if you like, making it easier for you later on. I also like to do this for myself because I find it so much easier to like see where I need to paint. So here's the top of the panda's back, and then here is the side. You're going to be painting inside the dots. I didn't bother filling them all in, but those sections that are hollow, those are going to be completely painted black. For this next section, because it's so large, I went ahead and grabbed my large paintbrush, and I'm just grabbing my black paint, and I'm basically just filling in that whole section. I find this process so therapeutic. As you can see, I'm not really worried about going over the lines, because once again, you can just clean that up with some white paint later, but I'm just having fun with it, taking my time. As you can see, I'm painting the side here, and then I repeated the same pattern on the opposite side, and then I basically finished painting the body. Yay! So once you're done painting the body, it should look a little bit like this, but if it's a little different, that's okay too. So at this point, we're almost done, and you just want to grab yourself an eraser, and you're just going to erase all of our grid lines on every single part, so you can remove it from the body, the face, the nose, everything. Don't worry if you can't remove it completely. If you press a little hard, you can just paint over it with white paint once again. But eventually, once you're done erasing all of the lines, you should have 3 parts that look completely done. At this point, you can paint the white bit if you feel that it's necessary to clean up any sections, but you can just leave it. So it's almost time to glue our panda together, but before we can do that, we're going to want to grab our 4 little panda legs and the 2 ears, and we're basically just going to grab our black acrylic paint once again and paint them completely black. So this part is quite time consuming, but I actually find it really fun. There's something so fun about painting like one block color on everything. But once you're done painting all of the legs, and once you're done painting both ears on both sides, you should have all your completed pieces. So at this point, you should have 4 painted legs and 2 painted ears, and they should look a little bit like this. They're not perfect, but I love them. I think they're pretty. And now we're on to the final step, which is gluing the panda together. So you're gonna want to grab your glue, the body of the panda, and the 4 legs, and we're gonna start by gluing the legs onto the belly. So as you can see, I'm adding some glue to the corners on the belly of the panda, and I've added them a little bit like forward from the back 2 legs, because the panda's legs at the back aren't completely in line with the back. I'm so bad at explaining. But you can see what I'm doing here. I've gone ahead and added the front legs right at the front, but the back legs aren't right at the back. So yeah, I hope you guys can understand. Oh, and if you see my little green bandage, don't worry, I've just got a little cut. I'm fine. Everything's fine. Next up, you're going to want to grab your panda's nose and add a bit of glue to the back, and then you're just going to want to glue it to the panda's face, and it basically aligns perfectly under the grey eyes. So here it is. This is what it should look like once it's glued. The next step is to add the panda's ears. As you can see, I'm gluing them a little off center and a more forward towards the front of the face, but anywhere on the panda is fine. It'll look great. And finally, it's time to glue the panda's face to the body. So as you can see, I'm gluing it on the side where the legs are closest to the front, and then once that's done, your panda is pretty much complete, and it should look a little bit like this, and I think it is adorable. This might be one of of my favorite Minecraft mobs I've ever created. I've done a bunch of these over on TikTok, so if you follow me over there, you've seen them before. I love it so much.
I am so happy with how mine turned out. I think it is so cute. If you guys were following along, I hope you guys were able to follow along a-okay. I included everything you needed and all the tips and tricks. I really hope it was easy enough to follow. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, if you've watched this whole thing, you can get the little kit to create this yourself, basically like unassembled and blank, ready for you to paint on my Etsy, which will be linked in the description down below. But if you guys took inspiration from the video and you created your own little panda, I would love to see them, so make sure to tag me on Instagram or TikTok or whatever. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and you're able to follow along okay, and you now have a cute little panda. But if you just watched me create one, I hope you guys enjoyed too. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe because it really helps me out. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next Friday at 5. Bye!